Coming up next on the Holistic Wealth Podcast.
I've often wondered, why was my experience so life-changing? Why was it so healing? Why was it so spiritually significant? Why was it so life-transforming for me? And how can I get others to experience the same thing? Altitude, silence, design, intention. Like the nest of a Jamaican hummingbird overlooking the city and tucked into nature so that I woke up to stunning magnificence every morning. You leave feeling the way I felt.
You're listening to the Holistic Wealth Podcast with host Keisha Blair, author of Holistic Wealth and founder of the Institute on Holistic Wealth. And now, here's your host, Keisha Blair.
Welcome to the Holistic Wealth Podcast, and I'm your host, Keisha Blair, and this is the very first episode of 2026. Welcome, everyone. Happy New Year. All the best for 2026 and beyond. I'm so happy to share this very first episode with all of you because it's such a special episode. Maybe one of the most special episodes apart from the 1 billion mission episode, which was, as you know, the number one episode for 2025. This one is such a historic and landmark episode because it's the official launch of the Holistic Wealth Retreat on the historic Holistic Wealth Trail. And before we get into this, I'd like to acknowledge our sponsors, the Institute on Holistic Wealth, and you can visit the website for a range of courses and resources on living a holistically wealthy lifestyle. And the website is www.instituteonholisticwealth.com. And for those of you who are listening in for the very first time ever in 2026, welcome to the Holistic Wealth Podcast. As you know, this podcast was based on my book that was first released in 2019, and then the expanded and updated version was released in March 2022 with the foreword written by the amazing Kelly Rutherford, star of Gossip Girl, Melrose Place, and Dynasty. Now, we're going to get into this episode, and it's so meaningful for me. When I started my journey, I had no idea, absolutely no idea, that I would be announcing something as meaningful like this on the Holistic Wealth Podcast. I remember when I packed my bags, I packed a 40-foot trailer destined to Jamaica after my husband died. I had no idea what I was doing, folks. I did not know how that journey would pan out. I just knew at that time I needed healing, I needed solace, I needed purpose. I needed to find the answers to the questions that I'd been seeking. And lo and behold, that journey has landed us here to this very present moment when I'm announcing the very place that I took solace in the mountains and opening up that place to you all so you can visit, so you can heal, so you can restore, so you can relax. I cannot believe that my journey has come a full 360 for me doing this. Now, I have a copy of the Holistic Wealth Expanded and Updated book in my hand. And before I go any further, folks, I just want to read what I wrote in that book about that 1 year sabbatical that I took, where I packed my things in a 40-foot container destined for Jamaica, did not know what I was doing, did not know the kind of healing that I would get, did not even know that that kind of healing would have been possible. But with God leading the way and, leading my life, I'm so proud to announce that this has come to fruition and that this is happening. So let me just read a paragraph from that sabbatical chapter. And I'm reading from the Holistic Wealth Expanded and Updated edition. If you have a copy, you can turn your page to chapter 5, page 40, and, read along with me. And if you don't have a copy, get your copy now and book your stay. So we'll get into all of that. But listen, so this is the very last paragraph on page 40. And listen, this is my life story. So this is so vulnerable, so meaningful, so purposeful for me as I share this with all of you. I took solace in the mountains where I could reinvent myself amidst jagged ocean cliffs. The house where I stayed was nestled on a hill, perched 800 feet above sea level in Belvedere Heights, where mountains soared. Like the nest of a Jamaican hummingbird, the house is set intricately into the landscape, It became my mountain retreat, overlooking the city and tucked into nature so that I woke up to stunning magnificence every morning. The hill at the rear of the house was an orchard. Cherries, apples seemed to sing a chorus in concert with a gentle breeze. And that's just one paragraph, I kid you not, in the sabbatical chapter. And that chapter is one of my favorites because it outlines some amazing places that I visited while on sabbatical in Jamaica and now form part of the historic Holistic Wealth Trail. And so if you read on page 41, you'll see, some of my favorite places that I visited on sabbatical, like Port Royal, and I list some places, the James Bond Beach that was in the movie Dr. No, the Blue Lagoon in Portland. All of these places were amazing and are still there, and you can visit them when you visit the Holistic Wealth Trail. So I'll just put this down just a second, just to get into the meat of this episode and to just invite you on this journey with me, which has been a remarkable one up till now. And I've been tracking the stats on the 1 billion mission. We're at 300 million people reached with the message of Holistic Wealth. And our mission is reaching 1 billion. And doing this launch is also going to be a part of that effort to reach that 1 billion people with holistic wealth. So right now, with the context of the world we live in, as we start 2026, what's the context? Well, the context is exhaustion, it's burnout, it's stress. And we live in a world where people seem more disconnected, more exhausted, more distracted, more inflamed, more spiritually depleted than any other time in history. And we have forgotten, it seems, the power of going back to nature, the power of going back to our roots. So, when we think about even the Holistic Wealth Retreat, it was not built as an escape, but it was built to restore the human system that life has drained over time. And so I remember in 2025, the very first episode of that year was also very popular, was in the top 10 list of episodes for 2025. Holistic Wealth is the new generational wealth. I'm inviting you to check out that episode too, after you listen to this one and after you share this one. But wealth is no longer measured in just money, which is the whole holistic wealth concept, right? And philosophy. It's measured in clarity. It's measured in longevity. It's measured in nervous system regulation. It's measured in legacy and impact. It's measured in purpose, meaningful living, relationships, and our creative power. And of course, yes, financial independence is a part of that. But this is where all the pieces come together and how we get to build resilience and build holistic resilience. So, how in that paragraph that I just read from the book, from the sabbatical chapter, I mentioned that I stayed 800 feet above sea level. Well, I want to make an official correction. It's actually 3,000 feet above sea level. So as I was getting the retreat ready and building towards that, I realized that it's actually nestled at the feet of the Blue Mountain Range. So in the foothills of the Blue Mountain Range, which is, as you know, I don't know, many people don't know, but it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And in Jamaica, it's the famous, world famous Blue Mountain Range. And where that sabbatical home is at the foothills, which is 3,000 feet above sea level. And, I've often wondered, why was my experience so life-changing? Why was it so healing? Why was it so spiritually significant? Why was it so life transforming for me? And how can I get others to experience the same thing? Well, I've done so much research on this and I've written about it in the book. I mean, it was the catalyst for the book, Holistic Wealth, right? But deeper than that, in terms of the geography and the topography of the place and the benefits of it, I'm going to just give you a brief synopsis for your own knowledge, as to why this place is so healing. So at approximately 3,000 feet above sea level, something unique happens that is rarely discussed in mainstream wellness circles. You know how everything is wellness, wellness this, wellness that. Well, you know what? Like, they're missing a huge part of the puzzle that's not being discussed. And I'm happy to share that with you on this podcast, because that's what we do. We break new ground here and we talk about things rarely discussed. And this is why, while extreme altitudes are studied, moderate elevations like the 3,000 feet elevation really is a sweet spot. You know, we hear about huge elevations like Everest and those, but this is the sweet spot at 3,000 feet. It's the spot where it's easy to get to. It's easy to get to and from by car and to walk around by foot, but it's not too hard on the body, and it creates that sweet spot for health and for healing. So here's how it creates that sweet spot effect. Number one, gentle oxygen challenge equals greater cellular efficiency. So at this elevation, oxygen availability is slightly reduced, not enough to stress the body, but just enough to encourage mitochondrial efficiency. The body learns to use oxygen more intelligently and not aggressively. And this is associated with improved metabolic flexibility, not fatigue, just improved metabolic flexibility. Number two, nervous system recalibration. Elevated environments with lower noise pollution and electromagnetic interference are associated with one, reduced baseline cortisol levels and improved parasympathetic, that's the rest and restore activation. So what does this mean? It means your body stops being in fight or flight mode by default. This is automatic. It's nothing that you have to do. It's just being there at 3,000 feet above sea level. Number three, cognitive altitude effect. This is rarely ever discussed. Here's part of what most people have never ever heard about with this. At moderate altitudes combined with natural environments, studies in environmental psychology show improved long-range thinking, greater access to abstract reasoning and strategic insight, reduced impulse decision-making. In other words, people don't just rest better at altitude, they think better, and it translates into actions, right? So this is why ancient temples, monasteries, and wisdom centers were rarely built at sea level. They were built above, right? And this is just a tiny part of why this is so unique and this is so special. And we're not even getting into like other benefits like the range of fruit trees, the range of healing plants available. This property is almost 1 acre and it is stunning when you look at the range of biodiversity and plant life just there at your footsteps. You wake up to this every morning, and I spoke about that in the book, and it's there waiting for you to experience. So what is the Holistic Wealth Trail? I know I touched on it quickly, when I read the chapter in the book, in the Holistic Wealth Expanded and Updated book. So the Holistic Wealth Trail is a term I came up with. It's historic, it's brand new, it's global, it's going to be. Jamaica is the first leg because that's where the sabbatical started. There will be a leg in Canada. There will be a leg in the United States, and there will be a leg possibly in Germany. But the Jamaica leg of the Global Holistic Wealth Trail has been launched, and I'm so excited. And I know you're asking, what's the trail? Well, the trail is basically, simply in a nutshell, the places that are outlined in this award-winning book, the places that I visited on my sabbatical, and they're outlined in the book. And there are a few other places that I've added to the itinerary that I didn't get to mention in the book, but places that I also visited while on sabbatical. So the trail is just those footsteps that were taken, the places I went that built up to this huge global mission and built up to this moment. And this is not even just about me anymore. This is all of us. This is the 300 million people so far that we've touched, and the 1 billion mission that we plan out. And this is an amazing holistic wealth journey for the entire world to experience together, to partake with your families. The Holistic Wealth Retreat is available for stays. It's open right now. And I'm going to have the booking links to Airbnb, booking.com, and everywhere else in the show notes so you can, wherever you are in the world listening in right now, whether you're in Germany, the United Kingdom, Switzerland, Austria, Jamaica, the Caribbean, Barbados, Canada, the United States of America, Brazil, wherever you are right now in the world, you can book. You can book your stay. You can book for an anniversary, for a birthday. And we do allow special events by permission only, and it has to be approved and discussed separately. So we've had some amazing guests so far. We've already opened our doors to guests. And I'm happy to state that, one of our guests was on a 30-day sabbatical in Jamaica. She found the listing on booking.com and purchased it almost immediately and reached out to me and told me that she was just so excited. She was on a 30-day sabbatical. She was visiting from the United States and she was touring Jamaica and she had to stay there for the week. She read a copy of the book while she was there because we have a library of books with several copies of the Holistic Wealth Expanded Updated book. And she posted several videos on TikTok about her stay there. And one of them went viral, has over 500K views on TikTok already, which is unbelievable. But that's just one of our guests. And we've had some amazing guests so far. And we're looking forward to welcoming all of you to the Holistic Wealth Retreat on the historic Holistic Wealth Trail. And you might wonder what's so special about the Holistic Wealth Trail. Well, it is the very first physical anchor of the holistic wealth movement in terms of that trail that people can visit, right? It's there. It's a living pathway. And it's designed for all of you, for all of us, founders, visionaries, creators, leaders, healers, families rebuilding legacy, individuals preparing for their next chapter, individuals wanting to heal, book creatives, writers, retreat leaders, entrepreneurs. It's a place, and the Holistic Wealth Retreat is a place where wealth strategy meets nervous system safety, right? And it's nature meeting intention. You don't come to consume luxury, you come to recalibrate your life architecture. Now, it's an eco-retreat so high above sea level that it's eco-tourism, it's eco-wellness, and of course, it's coexisting and being one with nature. So it's unbelievable. And that Holistic Wealth Trail that I've launched is the very first of its kind in the world, very first time for Jamaica and very first time in the world, and the longest holistic trail in the world. So it's historic. In terms of the 1 billion with Holistic Wealth mission, it's amazing how this has been coming together, not through hype, not through hustle, not through burnout and struggle, but through repeatable, grounded human systems that actually work. The mission is global, and the mission to redefine wealth as, human flourishing that's sustainable, and to shift success from burnout to balance, to teach people how to live above the noise, financially, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And as of now, as I've mentioned, over 300 million people have been reached through the Holistic Wealth message. And this Holistic Wealth Retreat marks the transition from message to embodiment. So people often ask, what changes when you spend time at the Holistic Wealth Retreat? Well, I've, outlined some of the benefits earlier, but here's the most honest answer. You remember how you were before the world fragmented your attention, fragmented your energy. Guests report sleeping deeper within 48 hours, making decisions they had been avoiding for years, experiencing creative breakthroughs without forcing them, and feeling ahead of life, not behind it. You leave feeling transformed, not because of magic, but because the environment is doing half the work for you. Altitude, silence, design, intention. You leave feeling the way I felt when I did my sabbatical years ago. And I'll tell you folks, right after Christmas in the new year, I went to Jamaica. I just got back a week and a half ago. I went to Jamaica. I went to the Holistic Wealth Retreat to put some final touches there to start, as we welcome guests. And I was just abound with happiness. It's an amazing place for couples. It's an amazing place for singles. It's an amazing place for families. And I felt again why I was healed when I started my journey there. And I'm just so happy to open that up to you. So again, go on Airbnb, look up the Holistic Wealth Retreat, booking.com. It's there, Holistic Wealth Retreat on the Holistic Wealth Trail. Do share this episode with at least 5 people and share the message. We're still looking for Global Holistic Wealth Day ambassadors. As you know, April 9 is Global Holistic Wealth Day every year, and Global Holistic Wealth Week is the week of April 9th. And for the very first time this year, we're extending Global Holistic Wealth to the Global Holistic Wealth Week to the month of April throughout the month, and will be known as Global Holistic Wealth Month. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to seeing your pictures when you get to the retreat. I'm looking forward to seeing your videos as you interact with plant life there. There's so many species and varieties of butterflies and everything that I mentioned in the book. It's getting to be one with nature in a way that is unique. It's not just staying in a hotel, in an urban hotel in the city. This is getting away from it all. This is getting 3,000 feet above sea level, where you get healing. Your nervous system gets recalibrated. Your thinking becomes clearer. The brain fog disappears and you experience a different kind of healing, the one that I talk about in the book. And again, if you have never read the book, please get a copy. Book your stay with us. Reach out to us. Let us know what you're doing, what your plans are. I'll be happy to hear from you. Again, have a great week, everyone. Lots of love to you. And thanks again for sharing this journey with us. This has been a remarkable journey. I'm grateful to God for providing this purpose in my heart and for allowing me to live this purpose. Love you all. Take care.
The Holistic Wealth Podcast with Keisha Blair is brought to you by... Have you joined the Institute on Holistic Wealth? If you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Choose your membership plan at the Institute on HolisticWealth/memberships to join. As a member, you'll get access to free worksheets, advice, coaching, and an intentional design workshop. As you start to live a more holistically wealthy lifestyle, you'll want to stay for a very long time. So go to Institute on HolisticWealth/memberships to join. If you haven't read the book yet, pick up a copy of the award-winning best-selling Holistic Wealth 36 Life Lessons to help you recover from disruption, find your life purpose, and achieve financial freedom.